Hello friends, welcome to Innovate Teaching Channel. In today's class, I am going to discuss about inclusive education. Today let's learn what is special education and their categories. First, let's discuss what is special education. Special education may be defined as the educational service over and above the regular school program, which is provided for only exceptional child to assist in the development of his or her potentialities and or in removing his disabilities. Special education relates to the provision and organization of a system education outside the ordinary school system. Their services are totally provided by the public school systems and are free of cost. Services can include instruction in the classroom or at home or in hospitals or within the learning disability institutions, which cover a wide spectrum of disorders ranging from mild to severe. Next, what are the categories of special education? See, there are 14 categories of special education and they are defined by the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. It stands for IDEA, not idea guys. It is Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. In order to quality for special education, children with special learning needs, which are as follows: 1. Autism, 2. Deafness, 3. Blindness, 4. Hearing disturbance, 5. Deaf blindness, that means including deafness and blindness, 6. Visual impairment, 7. Emotional disturbance, 8. Intellectual disabilities, 9. Multiple disabilities, 10. Specific learning disability, 11. Speech or language impairment, 12. Other health impairment, 13. Traumatic brain injury, 14. Orthopedic impairment. So there are completely 14 categories of special education. Now let us discuss one by one in small detail. Autism is a developmental disability significantly affecting both verbal and non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication means the communication which is expressed through eye contact, various gestures, postures, written communication, and through social interaction and behavior, and it is generally evident before age 3 years age, and it badly adversely affects a child's educational performance. Deafness means a hearing impairment, you all know very well. Deafness, if it is so severe that child's ability to process linguistic information, that means lingual language information through hearing with or without amplification is limited. Amplification means increasing the voice sound, so that amplification is limited to the extent, and this also adversely affects his or her education program. Who people are said to be deaf? Who are those who cannot hear even if spoken very loud. See, if I am shouting blah 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 blah, that movie is there now, Ram Charan movie, what is that called? So in that movie, that heroine will speak very loud, but he can't hear through some distance. So those are said to be deaf. They require preparation in basic skills through special techniques before they are admitted in general schools. And definitely there should be some hearing aids to help them to become more functional. And hearing impairment needs lot of hearing aid auditory training programs. Hearing impairment, this is also a hearing loss in 1 year or both years, anything it may be, and it may be of two different kinds: permanent or temporary. Temporary means the hearing impairment will be fluctuating. Sometimes it may be, sometimes it may not be, sometimes it may be clear, sometimes it may be not clear. So even though it also badly affects educational program, but friends, it is not included in the definition of deafness. Okay, for such children education, the education will be in general schools in common with other children. It is not much difficult. Deaf blindness, I already said you, including deaf and including blindness. So this is having simultaneous hearing impairment and visual impairment, and this contribution causes severe communication and other developmental educational programs, and that cannot be accommodated in special education program because it only for the children who are having deafness or a child with blindness only. Visual impairment, including blindness, means impairment in vision. Severe enough, it also badly affects educational performance of children, and but it can be corrected. The term includes both partial sight. Sight means having visual. Partial sight means having only little visual, and blindness means not having visual quality. So this visual loss is measured with the help of Snellen chart. See, this is Snellen chart. It depends upon the degree of visual loss, that may be partially sighted or complete blindness. See, this Snellen chart can be seen when we go for the eye checkup to the doctor, isn't it? Doctor asks you to read. Visual impairment. This is a continuation, friends. The partially sighted are those who require large printing or magnified printed materials. Their visual acuity means sharpness of visual image. If there is a vision image, how much sharp that he or she could see is the visual acuity. The visual impairment person will have very low visual acuity, that is 20/70. 20 means that is the degree for visual impairment children, and 70 indicates the visual acuity for normal child. I'll explain this through an example. See, for example, let us consider a normal child. A child can see an object, for example an apple, at a 70 feet distance. She is having that much acuity, that much clarity, that much sharpness at 70 feet. Whereas the child with visual impairment can see the same object from the same place at only 20 feet distance. Greater than that distance, like 20.5, 21, 30, 40, 50, she can't see because she is having visual impairment. So that is the difference between a normal child and a visual impairment child, and the visual acuity of both of them. See, the blind are those who need to be taught through a Braille method. See, this is the Braille method, and their visual acuity may fall at 2/20. You compare this with the same example. 2 is for visual impairment children, 20 is for normal child. They must be prepared in pre-academic. Before they are admitted in the general schools only, it should be taught. And they need some orientation programs, training programs, mobility training, and more of oral instructions depending upon their degree of loss of vision. Okay. Emotional disability. Emotional disability means a condition exhibiting one or more of the following characteristics over a long period of time to a marked degree. This also affects, all are affecting child's educational performance only. So it's a God's grace. Without having any disability is like a heaven. See, emotional disability characteristics are an inability to learn that cannot be explained by intellectual, sensory or health factor, an inability to build or maintain satisfactory interpersonal relationships with peer and teachers, a general pervasive mood, that means bad mood of unhappiness or depression, a tendency to develop physical symptoms of fears associated with personal or school programs. So this can be defined by a term schizophrenia. Intellectual disability means significantly sub-average general intellectual functioning existing concurrently with deficits in adaptive behavior and manifested during the development period, which adversely affects a child's educational performance. Multiple disabilities means a child exhibits 2 or more impairments. Previously it is 1 or more impairment, now it is 2 or more impairments simultaneously, like intellectual disability, blindness, orthopedic impairment, etc. A child may be blind and deaf, blind and orthopedically handicapped, mentally retarded and orthopedically handicapped, and so on. Not only fixed to this, there are many examples. He should have at least 2 or more. We should not expect having this, but example I was saying. In case of multiple handicap, one handicap may be primary handicap and other secondary, or one handicap may be more severe than the other handicaps. So this can be explained in any situation. It is therefore important to identify that primary medical care, superior instructions from the teacher, and a little love and affection from the parents and teacher are most preferable. Specific learning disability. Specific learning disability is a disorder in one or more of the basic psychological processes involved in understanding or using spoken or written language. A learning disability may manifest itself. Manifest itself means it clearly explains an imperfection, an inability to listen, to think, to speak, to read, to write, to spell, or to do mathematical calculations. Specific conditions can include perceptual disabilities. That means a child can't perceive what's going around and what animal I was seeing. Is it a dog or a cat, or it is a human, or what? He can't perceive. Brain injury. Minimal brain function means less, minimum brain functioning. And dyslexia or developmental aphasia. Dyslexia means difficulty in reading. He don't know what he was reading. Speech or language impairment. It is a communication disorder such as stuttering, impairment, articulation. See, for example, a child reads like a kite, book, symbol. See, this is what stuttering impairment means. Language impairment, that means he reads like a CUT as cut, BUT as but, and also PUT as put, not as put. Okay, or a voice impairment. This all adversely affects a child's educational performance. Traumatic brain injury. See, this is an acquired injury to the brain by external cause or any physical force resulting in total, complete, or partial, only half functional disability, or psychosocial impairment, or both. We can't say anything. Anything may be affecting the child's educational program only, finally. And this injury applies to open or closed head injuries resulting in impairment in one or more areas of a mental functioning, such as cognition, language or speech, memory, attention, reasoning, abstract thinking, judgment, problem solving, perceptual and motor abilities, psychological behavior, and information processing. Health impairment. It means having limited, less strength, vitality, less energy, or less alertness. Under this category, we see children whose poor physical conditions make them inactive and drowsy, and who requires special health precautions. They should have sufficient medical checkups and support in their school and nearby surrounding home areas. And health impairment problems such as asthma, attention deficit disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, diabetes, epilepsy, which is a genetical disorder, heart condition, hemophilia, lead poisoning, leukemia, blood loss, rheumatic fever, sickle cell anemia. All these affects child's educational performance. Orthopedic impairment. This impairment means a severe orthopedic impairment also affects children educational performance. It is the impairment caused by congenital anomaly. Congenital in the sense having by birth. Anomaly, it is abnormal condition. Impairment caused by diseases like poliomyelitis, bone tuberculosis, and impairment caused from others like cerebral palsy, which is related to brain disorder, amputations and fractures or burns that cause contractures. And in all these cases, the problems are so severe and they require artificial limbs through biomaterial surgeries, which compensate from the crippling condition. Finally, I conclude this video that special indication makes it possible for every child to achieve academic success in the least restrictive environment despite their disability. The federal law governing the system is called IDEA, not that idea. It is Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, entitles all children with learning disabilities to a free appropriate education fee. And my suggestion is, friends, children with special needs inspire a special love. Parents of children with special needs create their own world of happiness and believe in things that others cannot yet see. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Bye.